Hey, welcome back or welcome to the Montana Real Estate Channel, where we go out in Montana and take a look at various communities and look at neighborhoods, price points, talk about real estate, landmarks, lifestyle, and culture. And today we are going to be diving into the community of Big Timber, Montana. And I'm Craig Cyphers, and I work with my third generation realtor daughter, Erica, at Cyphers Family Real Estate. We've been helping folks transit into Montana and transition around Montana since 1966. We'd love to be a resource for you. And we have offices all over the state of Montana, and all the information in order to get a hold of us is in the description down below. And if this is the first time for you to be on the channel, if you'll just tap that logo down there on the right hand side, you'll be notified whenever we come out with a new video on communities in Montana. We've got a whole bunch of videos out there. Sift through, see if there's any of them that are of interest to you. It's not just about communities and real estate. We also talk about things like natural disasters, fires, festivals, and things that make life interesting by living in Montana. So take a look at what we got. If you like it, please subscribe. And by all means, leave us a comment. We'd like to hear from you and tell us how we're doing. Appreciate it very much. And now let's get into the video on Big Timber. Well, here we are coming into Big Timber, Montana, and you can see off to the right, when the frame is just right, you'll see the crazy mountains. And this is just coming in off of Interstate 90. There's the crazy mountains. Here we are coming into Big Timber. And Big Timber is a really interesting place. We'll talk more about the details there, but we're going to talk about some real estate. There's a lot to Big Timber, but it's an incredibly historic place. And in terms of real estate, you've got a mix of everything. Right there, we saw some manufactured homes. We've got some properties that were built anywhere from the 1900s right on up to present day. I think the most recent home that had sold was actually built in 1968, just recently. So there's not a lot of building going on in Big Timber like some of the other areas. So Big Timber is just between Billings and Bozeman. It's outside of Livingston, Montana. And one thing it does have in common with Livingston is it's got some serious wind that comes down through the Big Timber area. Right in this particular area, this is the Boulder Edition. There's a lot of Big Timber that's Boulder Edition. I didn't find out too much about the original town site of Big Timber, but we did have a property on Everett in Big Timber that was a 3-bed, 1-bath. It was 1,200 square feet, and it sold for $247,000. And it was built in 1968. But there are a lot of homes out here in Big Timber that are much older, and it'll be obvious to you, particularly when we get down in the area of McLeod, which is kind of a major thoroughfare there in Big Timber. And so what we're going to do is we're going to drive through some of the neighborhoods here, take a look at what we're seeing. You got a lot of pine trees in town, which is a little bit different than some of the communities that have deciduous trees, maples and mountain ash and that sort of thing. Here in Big Timber, we do have the pine trees. And it's pretty obvious these homes were built in the 20s and the 30s. And so we'll just take a little drive and see what we see here. And if you have any interest in knowing more about real estate in Montana, please give us a call, text, email us. All the information you need to get a hold of us is in the description below. And also, we invite you to tap that logo on the lower right-hand side of your screen so that you're notified whenever we come out with a new video on communities in Montana. We appreciate you subscribing. Be sure to share with your friends and family of the Montana Real Estate Channel. So anyway, we've got, clearly this is a home that was built in the early 1900s, as many of these are. And we're going to go down here and go by the park. Now this is just off McLeod. We're going to get down here and see Lions Club Park. It's a good sized park on the south side of Big Timber right here. You can see that. And then there's a plaque here to the woolen mill. And also there we have the woolen mill, and then this plaque regarding William Clark and Sacagawea, who camped at this about a little bit from this location back in 1806, when Clark was going back to meet with Lewis, and they met up on the Yellowstone and Missouri confluence. And so we're just taking a look at some of these houses. Now, this is the area in McLeod, and you'll see some absolutely gorgeous homes from the 1900, 1913, 1915, 1914. Just really spectacular architecture. You got a lot of craftsmen, and McLeod Street is just loaded with these kinds of homes. Now, over on 7th Street, we had a super affordable home over there. It was built in 1908. It was 1,247 square feet, was 1.5 stories, 3-bed, 2-bath, and it sold for $190,000, which is actually pretty reasonable. You can see here, this is a shot of the library in town, and we've got some murals. This is the local telephone company. And the thing about Big Timber is that it did have a major catastrophic fire. Fire was in 1908, and it destroyed half the commercial buildings at the time and a third of the residential homes. And it was quite devastating for Big Timber. But there are still a number of very old structures in Big Timber. When I say very old, around 1900, 1905, 1906, that were able to escape the fire at the time. Well, we just saw the fire department there, and we get into yet more of the business district. There was a home over on 4th Street that recently sold. It was built in 1935. And it was 2,618 square feet, and it was 5 bedrooms and 2 baths, and it sold for $365,000. This is Sweetgrass County High School, and the enrollment here in Sweetgrass County High is 161 students, with a student-to-teacher ratio of 11-1, and there are a number of communities that they go to high school in Big Timber. And one of the things about Big Timber is that we see an average sale price between $350 and $450. So around $400,000 is what we're looking at for a sale price. There was a home down on 9th Street that recently sold. It was a 3-bed, 2-bath, 1,400 square feet, and that home sold for $318,000. And so that's pretty typical of what we see out there. Now, there was a place on McLeod, and we saw those wonderful historic structures out there that were built around 1913. Well, there was a home there that was built in 1900. It was 2,256 square feet, and it was 4 bedrooms and 3 baths, and it sold for $465. And for the square footage and the vintage of the home, that's a pretty decent price for Western Montana generally. You'll find anything on the east side of the divide as being much more affordable than it is over on the west side of the divide. Now, the fire of 1908 did spare some buildings. For example, this is the Grand Hotel. The Grand Hotel was built in 1890. And it's a great landmark. You get great food there, and it survived and has thrived. So here we are at the Sweetgrass County Fairgrounds, and Big Timber. And you can see behind me the crazy mountains. So this is a great spot, and we hope you enjoy this video on Big Timber. Well, it's a little overcast today, but we're going to take a little trip through the fairgrounds area here, and there you get a good shot of the crazy mountains. And that's where some of that weather comes from, and it can get a little windy, as I mentioned earlier. So we're going to just take a look around and see what things look like when there's nothing happening at the fairgrounds. But believe me, when it's fair time and rodeo time, this place is packed with people and a lot of activities. Sweetgrass County, they come out in droves and have a great time. And I'd love to have had some video of the rodeo. I couldn't find any that I could share with you, but highly recommend, if you're out in this country during that time of year, definitely stop by and check it out. Big Timber is definitely a cowboy country, a lot of big ranches out here, and it's got a huge history. And part of that history is the county courthouse, and it was built in 1896, an example of early 20th century stone masonry, considered a significant historic landmark in the area, and its location is notable as it does not follow traditional placement. It's about a block west of main commercial and residential access. And look for our next video coming out soon.